We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Vikings Uncensored. I am, of course, Rhino. And down in the lower corner, playing the part of Brunswick this week, is the one, the only, of Vikings Report with Drew and Ted fame, Drew Bunting. Good evening,
Welcome,
Drew,
everybody.
and thank you very much for co-hosting tonight. I appreciate it very much.
No problem, buddy. Thanks for having me on. This is one of my favorite shows to tune into every week. You know that. What are you guys on? Like 5 years now? 6 years?
We've started year 6 now.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
right about this time, actually, because we started we started about free agency, or before the start of free agency would be 6 years ago. We're starting into our 6th year now.
Wow. Good for you. It's a great, great show. It's one of my. You and Dave Stefano and Darren Campbell on the Blogger Show. Those are the two I really dial into. So I really am honored to be here. I appreciate it. I probably know a lot of the viewers out there. I see some names rolling through I already know, but it's great to be here. And you want to know how organized you are, Rhino, with this?
What's that?
What's the date today?
The date today is the 27th.
How many days till the draft?
Like a month, little short of a month. 3 weeks.
27.
That when it starts.
27. Oh, it's setting you up for such a good byline on that one.
And then I fucking blew it. Yeah, I know, but like I said,
27,
I'm gonna be out of the damn country, so I'll miss that part. Or gonna end up missing the draft. I'll have to be watching it in the middle of the night over in the Philippines. But yeah.
There you go. 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
4 weeks away. And let's hope the Vikings got it figured out by now, because they haven't had it figured out for a few years now with the
and that's
draft. But
we've talked about that at length many times about the the trials and tribulations of the Kwesi drafts for the past 4 years. So let's hope that with Brzezinski holding the hammer and the fight between KOC and Flores, we get this shit figured out this time.
Yeah. I really wish they would have went and did an audit in January on the people who do the scouting, like Thor Nystrom, very, very intelligent football guy. He talked about seems to think there's a problem in the scouting department, which I agree.
I do too, because we all knew Kwesi was never a football guy. He's a fucking bean counter. He's a numbers nerd. He's not a scout. He's not that kind of stuff.
Well, then how does he get blamed for McCarthy then? Because the other TOC's not taking any blame.
He gets the blame because he's the one that lost his job. That's why.
Somebody's got to lose their job when it goes to hell, right?
Right.
My uncle used to say, somebody's got to go, and I own the company. It ain't going to be me. That's what he used to say.
Well, and there is still that rumor out there that Flores did not approve of what Kwesi was doing, and he was not going to resign unless Kwesi was gone too. So.
Oh well, the wall has been built. They got to figure it out now, though. I mean, but I
Yeah.
think the problem more lies within the scouting department. You mean day one after the season was over, I would have brought in like, okay, defensive line, bring in your position coach, bring in all your scouts, all in one room around a big table. Do that with every position, and at the end, start marking people off. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. Get rid of him.
Yeah.
Get rid of him because it seems to be they're really strong in some areas of scouting for the
And really
draft.
weak
In
and
other,
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, so you
I
get
don't.
these.
I wish they would.
What did you see in this guy to make us draft him? And now he's on. Now we cut him after 2 years because he's awful.
Did they change any of that? Is it the same guys? I mean, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. That's going to be the big question here coming up in what little month right now. So
I do know this, Rhino, and as the course of this show goes along, I'd like you to think about it and give me your answer. I think that we know this is a critical draft. We kind of say that every year, but this one, the first four, they had four picks in the first 100.
yep.
I think they got to get at least three starters out of there
Oh,
and
no
maybe a
question.
fourth. And then the rest of the draft, they got to hit on at least two of those guys with the other four picks. They got nine picks, right?
Yep.
So five in the third day, third day. But the first four picks, they got to hit on every one of those guys.
Right. And like you said, even those late round picks, they need to find guys that are going to be able to develop into depth players. I mean,
Oh,
we
sure.
can't go out there and draft a third round punt gunner this year.
No, the in depth is where we're really the season's gonna sit because we're back to stems and seeds with the depth again. You notice
Right. I
that?
mean, we literally are where we were when Spielman and Zimmer got fired.
You know that it's like Groundhog Day or something.
It
Remember,
really it is. I mean that is the life
remember
of
what
a Vikings fan. It's fucking Groundhog's Day. Yeah.
he, you know what, Rhino? Remember it was Zimmer. Got to get. He's the problem. Get him out. Got to
Yeah.
get Zimmer out. Got to get Spielman out. And then they came in the new regime. Oh, we have like Anthony Barr and all these players. We got to get rid of all these guys. That's their guys. So they get a couple years on getting rid of those guys. There's an excuse. Then the O line's no good. And then they don't. The next year they don't have any corners. We got to get the corners better. And then we need an O line. Then the O line's got to be redone. Every year with the Vikings, there's something in the offseason. Now it's quarterback.
Well,
They
and
can't seem to.
it's and I've heard this talked about from multiple people. I know Judd Zolgad has brought this up too, but it's like the Wilfs play fantasy football. It's we have to be competitive. We have to be good every fucking year, but it's you're not building for the long term. It's they are so scared to be bad 1 year in order to build a contender for 5 years that
Right.
you know they have the mentality where, hey, if we can sneak into the playoffs, even if it's a 7 seed, then we start getting lucky and we can make some noise. Tell me when the last time this team got lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think a big thing with Quasey was it's a Darnold thing. People say it's not a big deal. The Vikings had a Super Bowl quarterback in their building. And then not following a 7-10 season, following what, a 14-3 season.
Yeah.
And then he's gone. Then he wins a Super Bowl with Seattle. Somebody had to fall. Somebody had to get fired for that. So um, I
Yeah.
hope they get it figured out. I hope KOC can put together with the rest of the staff with Rob B and get Brian Flores, and I hope the staff comes together who does puts up their draft boards, and I hope we have a good season. But I don't know. It's a reach. How's everybody doing out there? I see a disgusting act out there. I see Anthony.
Yeah.
Of
Course, the
anybody else?
one and only Toons is in the house tonight. Disgusting Act is here. Ant is here.
You know what? I'm in
Where the
love with
hell?
that Toonses. I'm in love with that Toonses. She's a great fan.
Where the hell is Norsefius at? He's supposed to be here. He's never.
Where is Northfius?
I don't know. We got to give him shit because he always gives us hell all the time. Now the fucker's not here, so
No, I haven't seen in the show for a while. Is Sarah? Where's Sarah been?
I don't know. I haven't. She's
She
on
always has
a.
really.
She's on a Twitter chat that I'm on once in a while, but I haven't been
Oh,
on there much lately. But yeah,
she
Sarah
has a
always
lot of
brings.
really good.
Oh, she
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
She's one of the more knowledgeable football fans that I see on a regular basis on the Twitter sphere anyway. But
She always has good comments.
oh yeah, and she doesn't hold anything back either. But anyway, let's roll into some stuff here. There's a couple of
Okay,
news and rumor type stuff I want to run by you here real quick, and then we'll roll into your draft analysis for the secondary players this
there we
season.
go.
So, two players have risen into the rumor mill for the Vikings as far as signing kind of the Dollar General bin free agencies here at the
Right?
round 3, round 4, whatever we are at now. The first one is defensive tackle DJ Reader, who most recently played for the Detroit Lions. I think he's like 31 years old, something like that. So
Didn't he
not
play
really
Seattle
helping.
for a while too?
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, 31.
Not
He's a good player though. He's a decent
He is.
player.
He not really helping with the youth movement that much, but right now we have, as it sits, one starting defensive tackle in Jalen Redmond. So
That's not good.
no, do you hope that Levi Drake Rodriguez or one of these other guys can pop up and be a starter, or and Reader would be that true nose tackle. I think he runs at like 325 or somewhere in that range. So you could put, Redmond on the outside, and then if you draft a rookie or one of the other guys on the other side, it wouldn't be a bad move in my opinion, but I don't know what you think about it.
No, because I think you want to get in a 3-4. You'd like to have Redmond kind of a 5 tech over there, or 3 tech over
Yeah,
there at a defensive end. That way, it gives him a movement on some twist plays or whatever. I don't think you just put him at nose tackle, even though he could play nose tackle. I think you're wasting a lot of what he does best. Is splitting the gaps, and his speed to the backfield is incredible. Redmond,
boy,
I love
yeah.
it. He's my favorite Viking. That guy's
Yeah,
great.
he had what, 6 sacks last year,
Yeah,
something
six
like
and a
that.
half, I do believe.
6.5 it was. So
Um,
yeah, the and as far as the comments from bitter ex-Vikings that come out there as the defensive tackles don't get a chance to rush the quarterback, I give you Exhibit A, Jalen Redmond.
Yeah,
But
he's in 2 more seasons he'll be top 3. They'll be talked about in the middle of every defensive line. He'll be the guy. He's on his way. He's developing perfectly, and he's got that mean streak right
he
now
does.
that you got to have
Hmm.
in there. Got to have in there the Jerry Ball kind of mean streak going on in there. I wouldn't mind that move with Reader. I'd like to study up on him more to see. Man, they really failed on that D line free agency last year, didn't they? I mean,
Oh,
wow. They're
both
all gone
guys.
now, right? Both those guys.
Yeah, but they're both gone. But both of them spent more time on the side of a milk carton than they did in the stat line. It seemed like, but
Yeah, it was shocking. Well, what's that? Oh, okay. My producer over here says blame that one on Quessy. You can still blame him for a
yeah, we can
while.
still blame Quasey and Ryan Grigson, even though he's technically still in the building. But I think they put him down in the basement with with his stapler, and they haven't fixed the glitch with his paycheck yet. But
They put him on the 4th floor of Parks and Rec. Go to the
right,
4th floor. They sell meth in a vending machine. No, Reader's a good player. He's decent. I mean, but like it's not getting any younger though. That's why I thought
no,
drafting a really good nose tackle like the McDonald kid from Ohio State, and then putting Redmond next to him. But that's thinking of towards the
but
future, building a team to be a dynasty like
right.
the Seahawks. We're not doing that. We're not
No,
going to.
we
No,
don't
we're
need
not.
to do shit like that. But regardless, realistically we need two starters on the defensive line as it sits right now, though.
Wow, they're that thin there. Isn't there
Well,
anybody else beside Redmond?
Redmond's the only starter left from last year because both Hargrave
Sure.
and Allen are gone. You've got
Levi
Levi
Drake
Drake
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. You've got what's his name? The guy we drafted last year, Tyron Ingham
Oh,
Dawkins.
I like him. I think he has a
I
lot
do
of
too,
promise.
but now is he ready for an expanded role? I don't know yet, but hey,
Well,
Northfield finally showed up, but about fucking time he
Northfield.
got here.
Hey, Northfield, get your ass in here on time. We cannot have a righteous show without you. Come on. Um, What about Drake Rodriguez? How many years are we going to wait for that guy?
Well, I mean, you know, he's played well.
Sure, I'm not trying to rip on the guy. I'm just
No,
saying we
but
need
I
more
mean,
out of it.
he's a good rotational guy. But I mean, he's a seventh round pick. I mean, is he going? Is he starter material? Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, as it sits, he's a good depth guy and a good rotational guy. But I don't know yet if he's at that point to be a starter.
Hey, Rhino, should the
Yeah,
Vikings have kept Harrison Phillips?
I think they should have.
I think so too. You know, 2020 is in hindsight, but I thought he was a really solid player.
Well, and he was very good in the run defense, which is where we struggled a little bit last year. So
Yeah, in the way Brian Flores creates this 3-4 defense with his all his movement and everything, he would rather have a run stuffer in the middle than worried about getting to the quarterback. But I know all our guys were kind of like trying to be pass rusher guys, but in the 3-4, you just want your nose tackle to eat up a couple blockers to free up
right,
everybody else.
and that's the thing. So you can open up that hole for a Cashman or a or whoever coming out. You know, the linebackers coming in to fill that hole.
That's their job. That's the down three of the 3-4. It's very simple. Is just to eat up blocks so somebody else can make a tackle. That's their
Yep.
job.
Well,
It's
and
the
I
sacks. The sacks are going to come from those outside linebackers, Van Ginkel and Grenard. Those are the guys getting the
yep,
sack.
right, and I see a lot of stuff about and people talking about the nose tackles and they don't have pass rush ability and this. You don't need pass rush ability out of your nose tackle necessarily.
Well, especially look at how these offenses are running. They're all three
Right.
step slants, 3-step shallows, 3-step wheel routes to the everything is 3 to 4 to 5 step drops. You don't have time to get to them anymore. That's why the premier Bruce Smith type of defensive ends are having a hard time keeping up with everybody. I mean,
Right.
there's a couple guys that are good, but the offenses are getting rid of the ball quicker. Rhino, the deep pass
Yeah.
is down. It's down even when it was 3 years ago. The deep bombs are falling off. They're going short route.
Unless you're Kevin O'Connell.
Hit him, hit him in the flat. I mean, if your defensive ends can't get there and your edge guys can't get there, you can't expect your nose tackle to get there.
No,
So
I mean the
you
nose
want
tackle guy. The nose tackle is there to stop the run, and
that's what you want them for. Yeah,
collapse the pocket a little bit. But when you come into third down passing situations, you bring in a smaller guy that can rush the passer into that point.
sure, sure. That's very well said. Very well said. So DJ Reader, I'm not against it, but it seems like a Viking move. Like I've been hearing about that Hopkins guy. I mean, come on, jeez.
Hey, we got the
I would
machine in
say
here tonight. The machine is in here tonight too. Good
no.
evening,
Wait,
Tony.
Tony Bell. Oh, that's great. If Tony Bell's here, there's some serious shit
We
going
got
on.
some serious smoke going on here tonight. If Tony Bell showed up,
Tony Bell knows he loves his Vikings, man. Let me tell you.
yes, he does.
Not a big O'Connell fan either. You ask
No,
Tony Bell, he's
no, he's not.
not a big KOC fan. But
But
what do you think
I
on
understand.
Reader?
I understand
Is
his
Reader
frustration with that too. So
is Reader on the market? Is he like
he's
available?
still out there. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Who else you
And
got?
then the next guy saw this afternoon. KJ Osborne was doing some interviews someplace, and he was talking about a potential return to Minnesota. I mean, what do you think about him as far as a wide receiver 3-4 guy?
I don't think about him. But
Fair enough.
but it is a move. Listen, I noticed with KOC, and Tony Bell might agree with me on this. The Aaron Jones thing seems lazy to me.
It does.
Lazy.
It's a
Don't do
guy
your due
it's a
diligence.
guy he
Yeah.
trusts.
So
But
I would expect him to get KJ Osborne. That's a lazy guy. That's a lazy way to handle it.
it
Rather
is.
than developing a young guy or something. KJ Osborne, I could go outside and walk 3 houses down and find KJ Osborne. Somebody could, what is he? He's nothing special.
No, he's not. But
I mean, I don't want to sound like a hater or anything. He had some nice moments here, but come on, Rhino, you can do better than KJ Osborne,
no, I
can't
know
you?
you can. I know you can. And it's you've also got DeAndre the rotting husk of DeAndre Hopkins, who said he would like to come play with Kyler Murray as
Oh,
well. But I mean,
sure he would.
and
To complain,
Of course, I mean, I was a big Hopkins fan when I wanted the Vikings to draft him when he came out, and I think we took Laquan
Yeah, he was.
Treadwell instead. But
You talk about good college tape, and I mean, man, Hopkins used to be good, wasn't he?
oh, he was.
Remember that
But
catch? Remember that catch he made here when they came to Minnesota that year? That one-handed grab of the end zone he made. That was
yeah,
crazy, dude.
no, well, the guy has got hands like fucking catcher's mitts. I mean, that he literally has to change his gloves multiple times during the game because his hands are so fucking big when he's doing all that stuff. He'll rip his
What?
gloves.
How old is he? Is he like 39 or something?
He's over 30. He's in his low 30s somewhere. I think he's like 34, I think, if I check.
Yeah.
At that point, it's almost Adam Thielen signing.
Yeah, right. Great comparison. And you know what, Rhino, that doesn't seem like a guy that's going to come in. You tell him you're wide receiver 3, you're going to get 3 passes a month. He doesn't seem
Right.
like he's going to be happy with that. He's going to come in, I want the ball and all this, and it does. That does not seem like a fit for Minnesota, DeAndre Hopkins, at all to me.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't know what people
Like
in
I
the
said,
chat are saying.
I was a big Hopkins fan early on in his career, but I'm I'm done with signing all these
Lazy,
old 30, yeah,
lazy.
these 32 to 35-year-old players. I mean, NFL is a young man's game. I mean, we sit here talking about 35 being old. I mean, you're 61, I'm 51, but
Yeah,
it's
when you're 61, everything's a young man's game.
well, yeah, fair enough. Well, even at my age too, but yeah. Um,
I don't mind it though. I still rock for 61.
oh
I
yeah.
could go out and tour. I can go out and tour tomorrow and pull 3-day binges. I could do it anytime I wanted to.
As long as
Um,
those 3 days aren't all in a row, you're fine. Yeah.
they would. I'd end up in Kaiser, but I could still do it. Yeah, I don't. It just seems the KOC does a lot of. That's a lazy way to do it. Don't be lazy. Try to get better. Like I don't want to keep harping on. Seattle's done it the perfect way. I mean, they have
Right.
built something over
Well,
there.
I mean,
So,
they let the Super Bowl MVP walk because they didn't want to pay him what he was going to get.
Quasey though, remember?
Yeah.
Got to blame him for all that stuff. But
Right. Yeah.
regardless, the Vikings.
We're gonna go 17-0 and win the Super Bowl this year because Quasey's gone because everything that
You know
happened
what?
the last 4 years is his fault.
Let me tell you something, and I know Tony Bell will agree with me. If you're going out and you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins, DJ Reader, and the other KJ Osborne, that's just proof that you haven't done shit in the draft and you haven't developed anybody because you're reaching for guys like that.
Right.
Teams that reach for free agents all the time, they have not drafted well. You got to develop your draft picks. And when you're, I mean, does it move the meter to get KJ Osborne in here? And I don't want to hear, well, he
No, it
used to
doesn't.
play here. I don't give a shit about that. I
No, I
don't
don't
like
care
people that go,
either.
we got to get Kyle Rudolph back here because he played here. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I want to win
Yeah.
now. So I don't
As
know. Is there
much
anybody on
as
that
much
list that I care about?
no. And I mean, but you start shooting, you start looking back on these drafts. A lot of the picks that Quasey ended up making were panic picks.
Sure.
You look
Sure.
last year, prime example when they took Ty Felton in the third round. They were going to draft Watts, the safety out of Notre Dame, and Atlanta sniped him the pick before, and
Right.
then they panicked, traded back 3 spots or whatever the hell it was, and then took a wide receiver that was probably a fifth round talent. They took in the third round, and they had him as a gunner all year.
Yeah. How do you feel about him going into this season, real quick? I mean, Ty Felton.
I don't.
That guy's
I haven't seen
tremendous.
enough of. I
Tremendous.
haven't seen enough about him. In the NFL side of things, to. I don't trust him to be wide receiver 3 right now. Maybe he will be, but I can't sit here in the end of March saying Ty Felton is our wide receiver 3.
I don't understand. If you watch that guy's tape at Maryland, Rhino, if you went back and watched his tape for 10 minutes, you'd be saying, why don't the Vikings have this guy in the field? At least to
Yeah,
run
no,
some bubble
I
screens or
watched some of
something.
his Maryland tape. I mean, he was
That
a
guy,
good player in college, but
especially the yards after catch. Ty Felton's a great, great player in that. So the Vikings don't seem to want to use guys what they did in college. It's very strange because a lot of these
yeah.
guys were
Oh,
really good, and you don't, like you said, how can you make it? evaluation on Felton when he's never out there. I
Right.
mean,
Well, I mean, Brunswick and I have talked about this in previous shows too. That Miles Price probably should have gotten some run at wide receiver last year in a few spots. And, if you were creative, you could have got him in on some jet sweeps or some other kind of stuff like that. But they never,
they
they
ran,
never even had him out there either. So,
they ran one frickin' jet sweep all year. They got a touchdown on it. Remember that with Addison? They ran the
yeah, that
jet sweep
50,
against
56 yards or whatever they ended up with it. Yeah.
Christ's sake. Lord knows you do things that work. Lord knows we do that over again. I mean,
Right.
come on, man.
But we'll throw the ball on third and fourth and 86% of the time when it shows that when we run it, we convert on a 70% clip, and when we throw it, we convert on like a 20% clip.
Yeah, I know his hands were tied with all the quarterback carousel, and he wasn't good. Vikings did not get good quarterback play last year. Everybody
No,
knows
they
that.
didn't. But
But I still think KOC's not aggressive enough. I don't think he's
no,
aggressive enough.
he's not. You and
I
I have
mean,
talked about that. We talked about that a lot. He's got that. He doesn't have that put the fucking boot on your throat and take out their will to compete kind of thing. He's, oh, I don't want to make somebody mad, so we're going to, we could
well,
put up 50 on these guys, but we're only going to put up 25 because we don't want to make them feel bad kind of thing.
there's a different mentality. You got the Denny Green when you're up 14. That's when you got to hit the gas.
Right.
When you're up 14, and then you got other guys saying, when I'm up 14, I'm going to hand it off and run the clock out in the third quarter. It's a different mindset for what you want to do as a coach.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I'm all for running people out of the building. I am,
Yeah.
man. I
Oh
don't care
no,
about stealing for the other team.
I I would love to see more games where it's literally over at freaking halftime. And then
I don't think
by the end of the third quarter, you're up by 30 points. Then you can put in some of these young guys and get them some game experience.
you know what the weirdest game still I think KOC had in his career? Not the playoff game against the Rams. Do you remember the one we had during the year? It was on Thursday night or Monday night or something. And we scored touchdowns on the first two drives. We were
Mm,
running right down the field on the Rams. I think we're up 14-7. They had scored, but we got our first two drives were touchdowns, and they end the game with like 20.
yeah,
The other 11 drives were nothing. Like he changed his mind. Like, oh God, I don't want to run up the score on my old boss. I
right.
mean, there's no kumbaya in football. Run it up.
No, but this is
McVay,
Kumbaya Kevin. So I mean,
McVay,
you've got to.
McVay doesn't care. Hey, Kevin, McVay doesn't give a shit about you. Let me tell you that right out of the gate.
No, McVay seems to enjoy kicking the snot out of him.
You know what? McVay is a perfect example of a wolf in sheep's clothing. He seems
Oh
like
yeah.
Mr. Night Guy. That guy. If that guy was coaching against his grandma, he'd run up the score. McVay's a hard ass, and that works for
Oh
the
yeah.
Rams. That works.
He's got that. He does have the killer instinct, but he's not, the grouchy, salty old Bill Belichick type guy that's going to be out there. But he's.
Yeah, yeah. I still have a little bit of faith in KOC, but I think his big legacy drawback when whatever happens to him is going to be I should have been tougher.
Yeah.
I should have been more step on the throat. I should have been more aggressive. I should have went for it a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a KOC show.
Yeah.
We know what
Josh, absolutely. If you don't want the score run up on you, then stop him from doing it.
that's true. That's always been the saying, right?
Yeah.
When's the last
Norcius
time we got
wants to have Drew on more, and can you bring back Toonce's trivia for the special bunch?
Toots' trivia, dude?
Oh,
We
maybe
used to
we'll
get
have.
done with the we'd get done with those shows, and Christopher Gates would go, "How the hell does she think that stuff?" And I said, "Dude, I don't know." Remember, Toons' trivia is good stuff.
Oh,
You got it, Northfield.
Toonce's trivia was great cinema. I mean,
Speaking of Lance, what the hell is he doing in Mexico, or can I not even ask that question?
I don't know. I told him not to drink the water, but I don't know about beyond that. So he's down in Tijuana
Oh,
visiting
I love
some
Tijuana.
visiting a
Oh, I
certain
love me some
someone, I
Tijuana.
guess. But
I love me some Tijuana.
never been. Never been. I've been to
I,
a few places in Mexico, but Tijuana is not one of them. But
I grew up in San Diego, Rhino. So
yeah.
I was in Tijuana every other weekend.
Oh yeah. No, What's that, about an hour and a half drive for you down there or what?
No, it's about a 45-minute drive
Oh, okay.
to get deep into the city. You got to kind of be careful in those kind of areas too. You
Oh,
can't just
yeah.
go willy nilly and shit. You got to, but I hope he's safe down there.
I just talked to him a couple hours ago, so he's
He hasn't smoked for 5 days, so who knows what he could do.
right. Hasn't smoked cigarettes at least, so
Sure. Oh yeah, let's clarify.
yeah, we'll clarify that one. But
Who else
anyway,
is on your list? You got anybody else on there?
no, that's it from what I heard so far. So we've rambled around for half an hour here already, but let's roll
Well,
into the
I don't
meat.
get to be. We're
Huh?
gonna ramble a little bit, Rhino, because I never get to be on here to talk to you, man.
Well,
Never. So I
you
want to
got an
ramble.
open invitation to come on anytime you want, Drew. You know that. But
All right, all right. I got something that's gonna start this draft stuff out funny.
all right,
I'm
floor
gonna
is
throw
yours,
this
Mr.
at you.
Bunting.
I'm gonna throw this at you real quick, Rhino. Not
Okay.
only have I looked at over 400 players, and I got 12 positions. I got 12 Drew big boards, which equals 180 players. So I have to go from 425 down to 180. And I've had to scale all that down within the last 2 weeks to really crunch numbers. A lot of late nights, a lot of whiskey, a lot of whatever. But I noticed from the quarterbacks who I started in February with, running backs, wide receiver, tight end, guard, centers, all the way down the line, I started noticing a trend. And you know what that trend is, Rhino?
What's that?
It is This is a very biblical draft, very meaningful to the big man upstairs because there's the flood of names that came through, and I think that not only football gods are looking down, maybe the man himself. Listen, let me read you some of these
Okay.
before we get into the cornerbacks. We got Hezekiah Masses, come on, cornerback from Cal. Ephesians Prysock, Ephesians, Rhino. I
Yeah,
think that's in the Bible.
that is a book of the Bible. Yeah.
Josiah Trotter, Jeremiah Love, we know who that is, and he may be heaven sent. That guy can play. We got Jonah Coleman. Jonah, who was in the whale. Remember the guy in the
Yep.
whale?
Yep. Yep.
We got Malachi Fields. Malachi. Hear me now, Malachi. Wide receiver from Notre Dame. I think Malachi is in Psalms, if I'm not mistaken. We got Zachariah Branch. Zachariah Rhino. We got Jude Bowery. Hey, Jude, don't make me sad. Jude is Bible. Christian Miller. Rhino. Christian
Yeah.
Miller. And then we end it all with the great safety out of Arizona, Genesis Smith. Genesis.
Yeah. It's where it all
Now,
starts.
with a name like Genesis, shouldn't you be the first overall? I mean,
You would
that,
think,
that
but
that's what, very biblical draft. Now we can get into corners. I wanted to share that
all
with you
right.
because I thought I came across something special.
No, that
A
was that that
lot
was
of Bible names.
extremely deep on that one. I never thought of that, but yeah,
Lot of Bible names.
you make really good points on that. But yeah, to your point, let's roll into. We've got the entire secondary tonight, so let's start with the safeties. So Drew, once
Corners.
again I'll start with the cornerback. Sorry, once again the floor is yours.
Corner group. Current position corners? Please give me your feedback on this in the chat, please. We got Isaiah Rogers, Byron Murphy Jr., Dwight McGlothern, Zamiah Vaughn, the great Khalil Halassi, who's either a corner or a safety. They can't figure it out. And we got the newcomer, James Pierre. We just signed the new free agent. Rhino, give me a grade on that room.
I mean, it's probably a B room, B minus.
Okay. I think
Isaiah Rogers had his moments last year. Byron Murphy, if you can put him in at the slot, he's a much better player. We saw that in 2024. But
sure.
when you have the lack of outside corners like we did last year, and he plays outside, then his interception numbers go down, all that kind of stuff. Now Pierre, I've got a buddy who is a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and he said we're going to like that guy a lot.
Oh, good. I don't know much about him.
I don't either, but he plays special teams as well. But in the time when he did play last year, he said the guy did really well, and he can play out on the boundary, which is key for that. So I think it's a definite upgrade over our last year. But
Right.
with that, I think corner is still a position of need for this draft. So let's hear who you think or
I
how
do
you have
too.
the corners ranked and what you think's going on there.
Well, a lot of what has to do with the corners on the field too is the Brian Flores system, because you notice Isaiah Rodgers looked like a Pro Bowler against the Bengals.
Yep.
He had that big game against the Bengals. Well, a lot of that was because we were putting Jake Browning guy in his ass every other play. So the
Right.
more pressure the cornerbacks are getting, the more pressure the defense is getting on the quarterback, then the corners can shine a little more. But I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think they could be going corner at pick 18. And if you look at my board, my first four picks are all early first round picks. Rhino, they're not getting Delane. We're not going to spend any time talking about him because he is a special player. He's got some great. He had the best tape I've seen since Patrick Surtain at Bama. And
Yeah.
you remember a guy like 5 or 6 years ago named C.J. Henderson from Florida,
Yeah.
cornerback? If you remember him, his tape reminded me a lot of that guy. Delane, 2,450 snaps, 43 games. He runs a 4.44. He is one of the best corner. He's going to be a great corner. That's a no miss draft pick.
Yeah. I
Problem
mean,
is, he'll be
he.
long gone
Yeah.
by 18.
I think he's probably the best opportunity for a true shutdown corner in this draft.
I
I don't
think you're
think.
right. I would agree with that. That's a guy that if you want a safe pick, like there's those safe picks like big tackles or something. This draft is weird because it's usually quarterback heavy, Rhino. You know what's weird about it? When you go into this draft, I went into looking at all these players and I'm thinking, because the quarterback group is so kind of weak,
Yep.
it makes the rest of the draft look weak, puts a cloud over the whole draft. But when you get into it position by position, this is a damn talented draft. There's a lot of great players in this draft.
Yeah.
Um,
The real meat and potatoes of this draft, I think, is late first round to third round, player wise. I mean, there's a few really good guys that are going to go early, but then it's kind of interchangeable from like pick
I mean,
20-ish all the way through
you
round
got
three, I think.
it's usually quarterbacks dominating the first like 10 or 12 picks. You got that, and you got offensive tackles or whatever. Look at this draft. You got two safeties that are highly regarded. You got two linebackers that might go in the top 8. You got a
Hmm.
running back that could go in the top 5. It's just, it's different than the normal field, Rhino, but I like that. That's what
It,
makes
it's
it
it,
cool.
it's back to a little bit more of an old school draft. It almost seems like.
Exactly. Exactly right. That's exactly right. So we're not going to get Delane. Do not fall into 18. I doubt it even falls past 10. So fluid and so professional out there. Great, great tape. Number 2 on my list is probably going to cause maybe some disagreement in the group. I like D'Angelo Pons. I think he's the second best corner in this draft. A lot of people have Terrell second best, but when you look at my list, I got Delane Pons, Jermon McCoy, and Terrell. I think if you're looking at it from a Viking standpoint, and remember, people, I make my drafts based on what the Vikings and Brian Flores wants. I think Delane Pons and McCoy are all Brian Flores type corners more than Terrell. And when I looked at my grades out of those four guys, Terrell was just a smidge under. I had him at a C plus tackler. Um, Other guys were rated a little higher. And being that Pons and McCoy, I think, are more Brian Flores guys, I rated them higher. Now, on a standard corner thing, if you don't have a dog in the race, Terrell's probably going to be your second corner.
Hmm.
But I do have a dog in the race, so that's how I base my boards. All my boards are based like that. They're Viking. They're tilted to Viking. How the Vikings look at it. Now, I'm not going to bitch and moan if Terrell's the pick at 18. That dude is a great, great player. But
Yeah.
Pons, the big mark on Pons is his height.
What is he? 5'9"?
Everybody's everybody's freaking out about the 5'9", freaking out, freaking out, freaking out. All five of my grading standpoints, tackling, zone, coverage, all that stuff that I do, I gave him a plus or A minus in all five of my grades. That was even higher than
But
Delane, just barely.
but even at
Um,
5'9", the guy had what was it, a 43.5 vertical at the combine.
right, right, and he's fast.
Yeah.
He's fast too. So I'm
But
not really worried about it. I mean, you worry
no,
about
and I watched a ton of Ponds when it came to the FC or FBS playoffs. I mean, the guy was a defensive MVP for both the Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl. He's, like you said, he's 5'9", but there's kind of a little Antoine Winfield to the guy, I think. And I'm
He's
not just
tough.
saying that because of the size.
No, he's a great tackler. You're right. That's a great
Yeah.
comparison because he's fearless off the edge. And I know Flores likes aggressive corners.
Mm-hmm.
Flores defense is weirder than every other team in the league. When you look at Brian Flores defense, it's timing, IQ. How much do you know what your guy next to you is going to play? It's not 11 players on the field. It's 11 players, Rhino, not positions.
Right.
Everybody's got a spot on the field. You pre-snap, falling back pre-snap. How often do you see the Vikings have 9 guys in the box, and then when the bell snap, they got 3?
Right.
They're changing all the time. Guys got to be smart. They got to be able to think. You know, and when we get to the safety board in a while, I'll tell you how important Harrison Smith was, which would be a big hole for us to fill if he's not back there.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you who else is small. How about Mark McMillan, who played for the Chiefs, 1997, 5'9", led the league in interceptions.
Yeah.
How about Honey Badger? He's a pretty good player, five
Yeah.
nine. How about Darrell Green, Rhino? Darrell Green's one of the greatest corners ever to play in the
Oh,
NFL.
absolutely.
He was 5'9". Matter of
I
fact,
was a
Mark McMillan.
I was a big Darrell Green fan back in the day because when I was old enough to start really understanding football, that's when the Redskins were in their heyday, and you had Theismann, Green,
Right,
Riggins, all those guys, the Hogs and all that
right.
stuff. And yeah,
Matter of fact, Mark McMillan played 9 years in the league, 5'7". I'm not worried about the size. The only place I'm worried about size is in the red zone. But I'll trade that for everything else. Being able to mirror receivers, stick to receivers like Pons does, tough around the line of scrimmage, can stop the run, runs a 4-3-5. I'll take that over the red zone if he has any red zone problems.
yeah,
Because in the red zone against the taller receivers, sure, he's got the disadvantage. But that is just part of the game, man. And he is, from what I saw on tape, I had to put him right behind Delane because I didn't see anybody better. Uh, I also like Jermod McCoy. He may be the pit. He's a total Flores corner, man. Uh, from what you read, when you read the reports from his coaches, he's the hardest worker on the team, always wants to get better, staying late, looking at tape. Uh, he's an outside corner strictly, pretty much like Pons is. They're not going to
hmm
play. They could play inside, but not too much. Very solid coverage corner. He has the 5'2" speed, but I'm not really worried about that because he is the scheme versatile Metellus type of guy. You can move him around, and I like McCoy. I think he's a really solid pick. I'm not going to bitch if we get him at 18.
yeah. Not
Plus,
any concerns with that ACL he had last year, or
no, not really. Not from what the reports I've seen is he's coming along fine. Um, you know what? Do you know what I like about McCoy? It's every report you read on him, he's kind of a risk taker on the field, Rhino. And I
hmm
like my corners to have that. I like my corners to have a little bit of that risk taking streak in them because that pays off.
well,
That's what. Who's the Dallas guy? Diggs, the Dallas corner.
Trayvon Diggs. Yeah, well, he's not with Dallas anymore, but he was. Yeah,
Oh, okay. He
but
that was his big thing coming out of college.
yeah, well, and with McCoy in 2024, he had 4 interceptions. 3 of those came inside the 5-yard line.
Oh, I did not know that. That is good information. I
So I
don't
mean,
think I have that written down.
you get down in that red zone area. I mean, that says a lot right there. I mean that. So
Now, like I said, no, my fourth guy is Terrell. Avion Terrell. I don't
mhm,
really have a problem if the Vikings did draft him. You better be able to tackle a little better if you're going to play corner for Brian Flores.
yeah.
But he's a very solid cover guy. Very solid cover guy. Um, Let me go to some guys I got in the Viking Watch. Who do we got in Viking Watch? Who do I have in Viking Watch?
Let me roll down to where I
I'll
have
go
it.
over this guy first. Mostly a slot corner. I know Anthony Tollison, Big Anthony down there. He's a big Trey Dan Stukes fan, and so am I. He's number 8 on my Drew big board. Very, very good player. And you talk about a guy that could do a lot in there. How about this, Rhino?
Okay.
One thing I look at with corners and with safeties, as much as the speed with corner, not the speed with safety, is I look at how many games they played and how many snaps they have.
Mm-hmm.
More experience at corner, the better. College used to be nothing but zone. Now they're kind of zone and man, so
Yep.
it's easier to find some man coverage press tape. It used to be really hard. Everything was zone. Where do I get the man coverage tape? You couldn't find it. 52 games, 2,600 snaps, and runs a 4.33. Hello. He got great experience. 52 college games. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's you're not going to. I mean, I think you're going to start seeing a little bit more of this. I mean, a lot of these guys, this is the last draft class of the COVID era, but
Right.
with the NIL stuff and the guys are making $5-6 million to stay in college, I think you're going to see a little bit more of this going forward, which probably isn't a
That's a good
bad
point.
thing.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And what you want with Stooks, I think what Brian Flores would like about Stooks is you can blitz him at the drop of a hat. You could drop him deep in the numbers in a 2 cover thing. You can you can put him right at slot and stick to a tight end or whatever. If you want a guy that's going to cover 5 yard dig routes, that's not your guy. Your guy
Hmm.
with Stooks is a guy that you want to run all over the field. And those are mostly what I look for in Brian Flores corners. I like tight end Stooks.
So
I,
where,
I
where do you where
don't
do you
know.
think where do you think Stooks goes as far as round?
I have him going late second
Okay.
or in the second round. I have how many guys I got in the second round? I got like 7 guys going in the second round. I think it's going to be by the time the first 2 rounds are done, there's going to be dude almost like 12 of my first 15. They're like one of the first 2 rounds, which is a little bit more of a run than they had last year.
Hmm.
Um, there was some corners. The corner drafted last year. I don't think there was that many. I think corner makes a strong comeback in the early rounds. There's still a few guys left after that. I like Stooks. Julian Neal from Arkansas. Where do I got him on my big board? I got him at number 10. Another great player. Get this. 449 outside press corner, 6'2", but he's that rangy 6'2". That outside corner that can bat those
Yep.
balls away for the, contested ones. Um, Way better zone guy than a man guy. I noticed on tape he kind of struggled in man coverage, but what separates him is the run defense, Rhino. You can tell what a corner wants to tackle. Like you mentioned Winfield earlier, he liked
Hmm.
tackling. This guy rips down ball carriers, rips them down, and enjoys it. So if you're looking for a tackling corner who still has coverage skills, Julian Neal would be. He's on my Viking. I couldn't keep him off the big board, the Viking big board.
Okay.
Um, may start out with special teams for a season, may need to develop him, but why not have some players for the future? You know what I'm saying? We
Now
don't
we don't
seem to
want to
get that a
develop.
lot.
We don't want to develop players for the future. We just want to play fantasy football and just play for
Another
every
guy,
single season.
my cornerbacks that I listed on the B flow list is McCoy, Stooks, Pons, McNeil, Warren. We'll have on there a little bit. Um,
He's a safety.
he's a safety. He's on my safety list. And this guy, Keith Abney II, Arizona State, number 9 on the Drew Big Board. Total chaos player, man. That's somebody that we might be looking at. Somebody we could get later. Um, where's Abney going? Oh, he's still listed on my list. It's round 2, so who knows?
Okay.
What about Igbinosun, the Ohio State guy? Problem with doing all these drafts this year is looking at all these Ohio State guys. I mean, they're at the top of almost everyone on my list.
I was waiting for that one because I'm sure
I
that just
mean,
pained you to look at those guys every day. Man.
I it pained me to look at the tape. It took a lot of beer. Um, but this guy's tape is fun to watch. This dude, another Flores type guy, 6'2", 189, big old rangy mofo, but his ball skills are off the charts. Some of those guys that with the instincts where they're moving to the receiver before the quarterback goes to the receiver, like they read
Hmm.
the quarterback's eyes. This guy's got it. And I know he was kind of overshadowed by Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, and some of those cats over at Ohio State. But I like this guy's tape. You get total boundary safety. Also could use him as a box cornerback, likes to hang around the line of scrimmage. You can use him in the slot. Brian Flores can move him around, much like a Metellus piece. He plays all of them. And I love his experience. How about this, Rhino? 53 games, 2,640 snaps.
Damn.
That guy, and he's played on a program like Ohio State. Igbenogsen's seen every single offensive setup there is. He's seen
Yeah.
all of them.
Well, and
So
that's the thing. I've noticed with Flores over the years is he doesn't like to play those young guys that don't have a shit ton of experience. He wants somebody that's been around and seen stuff. So a guy like this probably would be would fit right into what he's looking for. So
we got 2 third rounders. I got them listed in the third. That's a really good point. You know why? Because in Flores' system, pressure, 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 complex. You got to figure out what the other guy's doing. You got to
yep,
disguise everything. The one drawback to Brian Flores' defensive system, the one drawback is you can get burned pretty easy
you
if you
can,
don't.
yeah.
If somebody doesn't do their job, especially over the middle, and you noticed it in that Eagle game last year, Rhino, they
Hmm.
burned us pretty bad on a couple plays. So it is to have a tendency to give up the big play, but I'll trade that for a pressure defense.
Right. But that's also why he wants those guys with more experience because it takes
Yes,
experience to understand his defense.
yes, yes, it does, and you have to factor that in when you're making a Drew big board. You're making any kind of big board. You have to factor in the experience. If a guy has 22 college games, he's not playing for Brian Flores until I'm 64. So you better
Yeah.
have. I know they look. He does look at this stuff. Igbenogsen's a great, great player. Even though he's an Ohio State bucknut, I have to say he's a good player. I just have to.
Yeah. But I mean,
Um,
when it comes to this point, they're no longer an Ohio State bucknut. If he gets drafted, he's a Minnesota Viking.
late a guy that's probably not on anybody's list that I like is Chandler Rivers, and I listed him as a Brian Flores type corner. He's on my Brian Flores list. 51 games. Get this, 3,113 snaps. Rhino. I mean,
Wow.
most snap counts of all the corners I looked at was this guy. Outside press man, total Brian Flores type. Reminds me of his tape. If you go look at Chandler Rivers, he played for Duke. He looks like
Mhm.
Asante Samuel Jr. Almost the
Really?
same body type, same movements, and all that. Um, and he was what was Asante Samuel? Florida State.
Yep.
Florida State. Very smooth, very fluid. I like those players when you see them on tape, right? And they look effortless. That
Hmm.
Mansour Delane, the first guy on my board,
Oh God,
that
yeah.
guy just he does he doesn't look nothing. He's like
He
breaking a
looks
sweat
he
out
looks like an
there.
absolute natural out there. Yeah, it's
Yes. Yes. So there are this corner group is loaded. And I went down to round 4 before I ran out my top 15. That's not
hmm
even covering the day 2, the other half of the day 2, 5, 6, and 7 round guys.
right.
There's going to be a bunch of more. There's probably going to be 35 corners taken in this draft.
Yeah.
That's what I would suspect.
Yeah, I think a
So
corner. I think is one of the deeper positions in this draft as far as quality players. Through at least throughout the mid rounds. But
I agree too. I agree too. So I actually think we're going to get a corner early and late.
it's
And
possible.
if you look at how I put my Drew Big board, if you look at, I had names that were 16 through 25 that could have easily went in the top 15. So they may
Hmm.
even be thinking later. The Vikings might be thinking a 6 rounder or something.
Yeah.
But I think they should get 2 corners in this draft. I'm looking at 2. They got 9 picks. I think 2 of them should be corner because you could never have enough corners. And I think they need to upgrade. The problem with it is you got Hughes, you got all these corners you've drafted in the last 5 years, and the one guy died, which is terrible. Jackson, I think his name was.
Yeah.
I
Kyrie
mean,
Jackson. Yeah.
just had some bad luck with secondary guys have not panned out well here. That guy
I
from
know.
Clemson, that Andrew Booth.
We've had
What
Andrew
about Andrew?
Booth. We had Gladney. We've had what's his name? The Needle. Um,
No. Yeah. For the amount of people they've drafted high, Rhino,
right.
high draft picks, they should have this covered by
Well, I
now.
mean,
But right now,
it is a absolute certainty in life. The sun rises in the east, sets in the west. You pay taxes and you die. And mock drafts put a cornerback to the Vikings in round one.
but this year I think they could get a guy that sticks. I think they could, and I think they need to because it's amazing that Flores keeps this defense alive with the corner talent he's had. I mean, when you
Yeah.
really think about it, the Vikings have a top 5 defense. When the cornerback room is not top 5.
No, it's not.
So it all comes from the front 7, and then the secondary works off the front 7. If the Vikings front 7 is failing, they're not going to win a football game. They're not going to win any football game.
No.
It all rolls off that. The corners, the safeties, everything rolls off that. And now they're going into this season without possibly Harrison Smith, who is Brian Flores' go-between to get
Right.
these fucking guys on the field in order. Those guys are in order because Harrison Smith gets them in order. He's the coach on the field.
Yep.
Without him, I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe that
And
leads
that
us to safety.
and yeah, that's a great transition into the next position group, which is the safeties. So let's roll into that. And what do you got for there?
Well, there's 2 guys in this draft I would trade up for: Jeremiah Love, um, Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 guys I would probably trade up for, even though I don't want to trade up. I'm not a fan of trading up. I'm a fan of trading back. Trade
Right.
back 8 spots, get some extra picks. I've always been a fan of trading back every draft almost, unless you're one player away. Vikings are not one player away,
No, we're not.
uh, which is why I have. If you notice, I make my big board 180 players, and then out of those 180, over all the positions, I pick out my Vikings watch players. You've seen my boards long enough to know how I
Oh
do
yeah.
it.
Yep.
And my Viking watch usually has Rhino between 30 and 33, 34 players on Viking watch. That out of that board, these are the guys I like for the Vikings. This year I got 54 players, which shows how much help they need at different positions.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like a few years ago, Kevin O'Connell, we were maybe one position away, 2 positions away. Now we're 6 or 7. I'm
Right.
not, I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying it's the way it is. But Downs is really, really, that guy's awesome. Caleb Downs is an awesome football player. He's a buck nut, but he's going to go, I think, top 6. Rhino, how are you looking at it? Top 7? We're not
I
trading
think
that guy.
I think he probably goes top 10 at the very least. I mean, now there are some, the rumblings about he's got some sort of a potential degenerative knee thing,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
but I don't.
you,
We've seen that with a couple other guys. What was it, the linebacker that Jacksonville drafted a few years ago, and he turned out to be a really good player.
oh yeah, who was that?
Uh,
That linebacker, Miles Jack or something?
Miles
What the hell was
Jack,
his
yeah,
name? Is that who it was?
yeah.
God, what a memory.
So
61 years old, still have a memory.
I got a great
Caleb
memory.
Downs.
It's just really damn short. But
Uh,
no, yeah.
I think that like Caleb Downs is, man. You talk about a natural player on the field, but
Mm-hmm.
he's more of a guy who could shift around everywhere and move everywhere. But when he was out of the game, and I watch a lot of Big Ten. I'm a Michigan fan, but I watch all the Big Ten. I especially watch Ohio State because I want to see what they got going.
Right. Yeah.
When he was out of the game, either taking a breather or something, their defense was completely different. That guy told everybody on defense where to play. That guy, I'm telling you, he's going to come into the league, he's going to take over whatever team he's on, and he's going to star. Caleb Downs is a can't miss draft pick. He's a buck nut, but he's a can't miss draft pick. So
I mean,
let's get to the guy everybody's
I've
talking about.
seen guys talking about that he's already the front runner for defensive rookie of the year for next year.
You know what, Rhino? They're not wrong.
Yeah.
He's a confident player. He's all over the field. He tackles well. He can mirror receivers well. He's good on the deep passes, the breakups, all that stuff. He might be the best out when he plays outside on the deep shell. He might be the best safety I've seen since Harrison Smith.
Yeah.
Harrison Smith was cut out to do that, but we're not going to get him, so let's not waste time on him. Let's get to the guy everybody wants to know about. Who is that, Rhino?
That would be Dylan Thieneman from Oregon.
Dylan Thieneman from Oregon, my number 2 corner on the board. Of course, if Caleb Downs wasn't there, he'd be the number 1 corner. See how I did that? Really,
Yep.
really went out in a limb. 39 games, 2,400 snaps. Very, very, very experienced guy. Very cerebral IQ guy on the field. Always was, ever since he was back. Before he signed with Purdue, he was Mr. Football in Indiana. The guy
Mm-hmm.
has lived and breathed football his whole life. He's a smart dude. He's a coach on the field. He's got all that covered. Get this, led Oregon in tackles with 104. Runs a 4.35. That is nuts for a safety. And I don't look at the 40-yard dash numbers as much on safety as I do on corner.
Yep.
Believe it or not, out of all 12 of my positions, Rhino, I look the 40-yard dash, I look at corners and wide receivers. That's it.
Yeah.
I gave up
That's where
I gave up
where
look
it matters the most. Yeah.
I don't look at 40 time for a tackle or a guard. I don't care. I don't care what a nose
No,
tackle runs his
they're
40
not
in.
running
I
40
don't.
yards. No.
So I don't look at it. Those are the two positions I care about. Safety, you can be a little slower. I mean, Ronnie Lott ran a 4.6.
Yeah.
Harrison Smith ran a 4.57, I do believe. What about Cam Chancellor of the Seahawks? He ran a 4.7. He was a pretty good
Mm-hmm.
safety. So when it comes to the safety position, sure, you want the deep speed if you can get it, but it's not that
Right.
critical. It's not for a safety, not in today's game and not in Brian Flores' game. But with Thieneman, you got that 4.3 speed, so he can do more with that. That gives Brian Flores an extra angle to get him
Yep.
deep, batting balls away, play him around the box, whatever. But 4.35, very smooth player. Elite coverage skill. I gave him an A+ on coverage skill. Great tackler, very smooth. And you notice I had to find some tape on him. You want to check guys how they cover deep on a back pedal, not the front pedal. You want to see how they backpedaling is makes or breaks a safety. If they can backpedal
Mm-hmm.
at least with some kind of speed, you got something there. But most guys really struggle and get their legs all tangled up and they lose ground immensely. This guy backpedals really, really great, really smooth player. You can tell he's played a lot of safety. Really smart player. I would take him
And
at 18. I know some people are against
I
that.
would too. Uh, I've said this before, but Thieneman is my favorite player in this draft. I think he's the closest thing to Harrison Smith that you can find. And if there's one guy in this draft I want the Vikings to take, it's Thieneman.
I would like to see if they take Thieneman. I think they got to bring Harrison Smith back. And before people crucify me and put me on the torture stake, you imagine Harrison Smith. I know he's not the Harrison Smith he was, but Harrison Smith mentoring Thieneman. Come on, guys. That
Yeah.
is something that you can. That's a
Well,
serious.
and
That would
I
be
think
awesome.
the further we go here, the more likely it is that Harrison Smith comes back for one more go. The way just from all the things I'm hearing, but looking at some of the stuff with Thieneman, we talked about his Purdue tape. We talked about what he's done in Oregon, but this guy's a football junkie too. That there was
Sure.
his teammates at Oregon are giving him shit all the time because he shows up at the facility at 5:30 in the morning to study tape and
Right.
work out and do all this stuff before classes and everything else. So I mean, he is one of these guys that eats, sleeps, drinks, shits, sleeps football in the whole 9 yards. But
And you know what, Rhino? You're exactly right. Those are the players you want on your team.
right,
You want those are
that's the
role
kind of
players,
guy
example players.
that's the kind of guy I want. I don't want a guy that has to have something put in his contract to force him to do something. Not that I'm not thinking
Mm.
of anybody in particular, but
Oh, who are we talking about there, Tootses?
just a hypothetical, Drew. Nobody in particular.
We haven't talked about that. We're not going to talk about that.
No, not
That's for a
tonight. No.
different show.
Yep. All right.
Maybe a couple of tidbits. One other thing I want to tell you about Thieneman. You look at how they track the football, and when you're watching tape right now, nobody sends bad tape in. No
No.
player sends bad tape in. So you got to
You
look
never
beyond.
watch a highlight reel where some guy gets burned like a freaking
Yeah,
rented mule.
or running back like bobbles, fumbles the ball. They don't have. You got to look beyond the tape and try to find things. You got to look tape here, YouTube. Find the tape somewhere. You got to look. You got to. I remember a guy named Tyler Huntley, a quarterback. I don't know where he
Yep.
went to school. Like Tyler Huntley went
I
to North
I
Carolina
forget.
State or something.
Yeah, somewhere in
He
there,
might
but
still be in the league.
yeah, he is. Yeah, I think isn't he the backup in Baltimore yet?
I think he is. Somebody
Yeah.
sent me his tape from 8 years ago, whatever. You got to look at this quarterback, Drew. Look at how the gameplay. Look at what he does. He's magic back there. He's like Michael Vick. So I'm watching this tape of Huntley, and I'm going, yeah, he's getting, he's good movement out of the pocket. He has good vision in the pocket. He gets out of the pocket. He's a playmaker. He runs
Yeah.
down the field 30 yards. He runs down the field 30 yards. He's a runner. He's running here. He's running there. Then I start looking at the tape from the end zone view, and I see tight ends and wide receivers waving their freaking hands down the field, and he's not throwing it to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to look beyond the tape of the highlight reel. Why is he running so much when there's a tight end 20 yards away and nobody's covering him? That's where you should be going with the football,
Right.
not the running. So
Yeah.
you got to kind of,
Yeah.
you got what I'm
If
saying?
you don't have the vision on the field, yeah, the highlights don't mean shit.
I mean, you can make a big deal about a highlight reel running down the field, but in all actuality, shouldn't be hitting the wide receiver who's waving his hands because he's open. Shouldn't that be the
Right.
place you look at?
You would think, yeah.
Thieneman, tremendous on tracking the football. Tremendous on tracking the football. He tracks it like a wide receiver. That may not seem like a big, sexy trait, but that's important with a safety that he can figure out. You can track the ball really well. Now you're thinking of,
Mm-hmm.
has he got any kind of problems? What are you concerned about with Thieneman? Because there's always the other side of the ball. The only thing I can find with that guy, Rhino, and it goes back to you talking about him shitting football and wanting football and living football. The only time he gets in trouble is when he gets triggered downfield by getting fooled by the quarterback or something because he's too anxious to make the play.
Yeah.
He wants to
But
make every play, and he gets caught leaning a little bit. He gets a space behind. He gets caught leaning a little bit that I noticed on tape. But I'd rather have a guy that getting fooled now and then, but making play after play after play on the other end. If that's his
yeah.
biggest problem, that's not a problem as
No,
far
I
as
mean,
I see.
if you get fooled in 1 out of 10 plays, but those other 9, you're making a hell of a play out on the field. I can live with that.
Right. And the coaches say the mistakes he makes is because he's too anxious to bust somebody's balls. That's the
Mm-hmm.
player I want.
Oh yeah,
That's the player I want.
exactly, and
Um,
that's what part of what I love about this kid, and that's why I want. That's who I want the Vikings to take round 1. But
I would not be against that pick. I think it's a very good pick. I think you bring up the biggest point of all. He's a football junkie. You want to
mm-hmm.
start assembling this team with football junkies, Rhino.
Yeah,
Not guys that play video games, football junkies. That's who you want to start living on this football team is guys that, the football junkies, that's contagious. That makes those other fuckers work harder.
right.
We
Oh,
got to move
absolutely.
past
Yeah,
the Marcus Davenport kind of players. You got to get beyond those guys.
right. You see some guy that's every time you come into the freaking facility, he's already been there for an hour, and he's there for an hour after you leave at night. Pretty soon, you're going to start doing that too because you don't want to look bad.
Right. Right. Exactly right. Exactly right. I would be happy if that was our draft pick at 18. You better take him at 18 because if he's there, he's not going to be. He might be taken before 18. We don't know.
Yeah,
But
with the way he tested at the combine, he may not make it to us. Yeah, that's the part I'm scared about. But
and depends on how close do you want. How close do you need him to get to trade up right now? You make the call, GM.
if he's sitting there at 15, I
I was
might make
thinking,
the call at that point.
yeah, that would be 15, 16 would be mine too. Let's
Yep.
jump into some more of these guys because I know we're running
Okay.
late on time.
Yep.
Um, current safeties. I forgot to mention them. Theo Jackson. I don't know what happened to that guy.
Yeah.
Josh Metellus, Jay Ward, and Tavier Thomas. That's
The
it. You
big
talk about the other group being thin, Rhino. That's thin.
yeah. I mean, Jay Ward. I think he's one of the few guys that they've actually been able to develop a little bit over the last few years.
Right.
You know, but and then we saw last year with Metellus. Metellus had to play more of a traditional safety role last year, and it cost him. He needs to be able to
Right.
be that Swiss Army knife, playing all over the field kind of stuff, which means you have to have, they missed Cam Bynum last year a lot more than I think they thought they were going to.
You're spitting the truth right now. Cam Bynum was a bigger, and I didn't think it would be that much of a loss. I mean, I was
But it
happy he was
was.
getting paid by the Colts, but he was very
It
big.
was
He
a
was
it was a
huge,
huge loss.
and that's why it makes the Thieneman thing seem all the more sweeter. I got I have 3 safeties on the B-Flow list.
Okay.
It's funny now. I'm making a draft board for Brian Flores for everything. It's great. I got Kilgore so,
Okay.
from South Carolina. I got
Yep.
the next guy I'm going to mention real quick, Kamari Ramsey from USC, and I got
Okay.
Thieneman. Those are the 3. The sad thing is, the number 1 player on defense of any position that looks like a Brian Flores guy is Caleb Downs,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sad that he's going to be gone because that guy is the take any defensive position, line up Brian Flores, and he's going to put one name under a hat. It's going to be that guy would destroy people with Caleb Downs, but we're not getting him, which is sad.
Okay.
Ramsey, I like this guy.
Okay, go ahead with.
Huh?
Well, no,
Number
go
9 on
ahead.
my
I,
big
I got
board.
I got 3 names to ask you about, but I'll let you hit Ramsey first.
Okay. Ramsey is I like Ramsey because he could diagnose plays and he plays that pro style at USC. The coach teaches and the defensive coaches teaches. Brian Albright, I think he's running the secondary over there. Very, very. Not only you can have snap experience, but you got to have play experience. And Ramsey can diagnose plays. He's a very smart player. We mentioned that with Brian Flores. You better not have any dumbasses. You better have guys that can get coached up and guys that can learn the system. Because if you can't, you're going to be out in your ass. I like Ramsey in that sense. Great run defender. Uh, does have some injury concerns, some knee problems the last couple of years. More of a 2 deep safety guy, but I think he's a guy you could bounce around. I just like his football IQ more than anything. So
Okay.
who'd you have questions on?
First guy is oh shit. Hold on, I gotta scroll back up here. AJ Halsey, LSU.
Oh, what a great player he is. I got him going really early, I think. Where did I have him? Early round 2. Uh I probably should have put him on the Viking watch.
I
Rhino. Very, very good player. He is a
I think he's a Flores type guy too. I have him as like right now as my like 3rd safety on the board. But I mean the guy's had like 10. He has 10 career interceptions, 19 pass breakups, 4 forced fumbles. The guy's a ball
that,
hawk.
that is a lot of pass breakups. The
It
thing you
is.
like about him is he can either mirror a wide receiver, a slot wide receiver, a tight end. He's another guy you could put anywhere across that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say with Flores. You can't really pick there's a position because they're all on the
Yeah.
field at the same time.
Halsey
So
has a little more
um,
Metellus to him, I think, than Harrison Smith, maybe. But
yes, yes. That's a great. See, you do a lot of you do this stuff. You know this stuff better than I do. That's exactly right.
I
How
would
about this?
I wouldn't go that far, but I do a little
How
research
did
too. So
how does LSU have Delane and Halsey and not win the national championship? I mean,
because their
come on,
offense was
man.
awful.
They had that coach, Nimrod coach. What was his name? Kelly?
Yeah, Chip Kelly.
What an a-hole that guy was.
Yeah.
No, I like him. I like Halsey. Halsey, I
I,
don't know how we get him at
I
round.
put Halsey. I mean, I think Downs is in that tier by himself, but then like
You have
Thieneman,
Halsey as your number 3?
yeah.
Great. That's a great choice.
All right, then my next
Um,
guy. This is probably a little bit later on, but Bud Clark out of TCU.
I had fun time watching that guy's tape. That guy's an exciting player, and he's fiery, and he's
Mm-hmm.
fearless, and he goes for it every. I like those players, man. Play he that one guy out of this group, Rhino, that plays after the whistle. It's Bud Clark.
Yeah.
Bud Clark he goes for it. He goes for it, and you can tell another guy, like you said, just wants to play football. He's a football player who wants to play.
Yep.
He's going to stay late. He wants to play. He wants to learn. That is a great selection. You picked my 4 and 5. Bud Clark, I got also the second rounder. Um, what did I have him in my grading? I had Bud Clark. Here's Halsey. I had Halsey also was an A plus plus. I only had 4
Mm-hmm.
guys with A plus plus coverage grades. Halsey was
Yeah.
one of them.
But I mean, you look
Um,
at Bud Clark. We were talking about interceptions a little while ago. Bud Clark had 15 interceptions in his college career. So
good size too. I gave
yeah.
him Bud Clark. I have him as a free safety. B minus, B plus, B plus, B plus, B plus for an 8.5 Drew rating.
Okay.
So I gave him all B's across the board. Ran a 4.41. There's not really anything bad with this game. That's another safe pick. It's
Yeah.
another safe pick, right now. There's some good
Okay.
safeties in this draft.
Then my last guy is a later round guy, and I'm a little biased for questioning this one, but Cole Wisniewski out of Texas Tech.
I don't have him on my board. Tell me
Okay.
about him.
Well, I guess the biggest thing for me on that one is he was at NDSU for 3 years and then transferred to Texas Tech through the portal. At NDSU, he was a hell of a safety. Now, again, that's FCS competition, but he played very
Is he?
well on
Tell
an.
me, is he a deep safety? Is he a box safety? Can you play him around the line
He
of
can he
scrimmage?
can
You
do a
tell
little
me.
bit of everything. I mean, he's got
That's
good ball
fine. That's
skills. He can cover. He can play up. I think he's one of those late round, sixth, seventh round guys, probably. But
why not
from
take a flyer on him?
yeah, I mean, if you're still looking at grabbing another safety late round, he's a guy I definitely would look at. But
I'm gonna write him on my list. What's his last name?
Wisniewski,
Why did I not do it right up on him? Wisniewski.
most of the mocks when I've been doing that and looking through, he's usually in that sixth to seventh round. So he probably didn't make your top group. But
I am gonna. That's why I love doing this. I love talking draft with people because you learn this. You learn new guys all the time. You learn about new guys, new positions. It's just football is tremendous, dude.
oh, it is. And like I said,
Football is
I've always
tremendous.
said I love this time of the year almost as much as I do the actual game part of things. So
Right? Right? Dude, I can't believe Barrett Robbins died. That's tragic. Let's go. I want to mention a couple guys. Three guys I'll
okay,
mention real quick. Who I love their game, and I think Anthony likes this guy too. You know what? Anthony Tollison catches a lot of crap from people. That guy, you can talk draft picks with that guy. He knows his shit.
yeah,
Anthony Tollison keeps track of all this stuff. He knows you just got to deal with the every once in a while the craziness. But um, VJ Payne from Kansas State. I really like this cat. 6'3", 4'4". That's a rare size and speed, Rhino. And I know I don't mention the speed thing with you. I'm not worried about the speed with a safety, but if they have good speed, that
it's a
puts them
bonus.
above the board on everybody else. Alignment versatile. You could easily coachable. You can line him up anywhere. You line him in the box. You can line him over the slot. You can line him up at free safety everywhere. He's comfortable everywhere he plays. He's good everywhere he plays. Range and instincts. Flores could really mold this guy. He's my 12th pick on the Drew Big board, but being 12 on the corner board is still right around the top, day two.
Yeah,
So it's not a bad place to be. I like him because I like this corners or the you can just or this corners or safeties. You can just run out there and they can play anywhere. They can just help you, and he can help. He's a great special teamer. You can start him on teams and get that way. Another guy I like is Isaac Smith. That's probably not on anybody's draft board. Very high, ran a 4.6. Um, but he's got there certain look on tape that I really like about Isaac Smith of Mississippi State. He only played 28 games. That's kind of a red flag for me. But I think he's a developmental guy you could maybe even get as an undrafted free agent. I don't know. But some guys tape late that stood out. What I like about Isaac Smith, get this, Rhino. This is kind of interesting.
okay,
When he was a sophomore at Mississippi State, he led the SEC in tackles with 127. SEC. That's not the
yeah.
MWAC West.
No, it's not the Patriot League or nothing like that. No.
127 tackles his sophomore year in a conference that's no scrub conference. I think it's a guy you got to look at late. If you have to spend a seventh on him, then get it. And this is somebody I have to mention because uh, speaking of Anthony Tollison, he wrote me a message saying, "Have you looked at Kendall Daniels?" And I said, "Dude, you're stealing my thunder." Kendall Daniels is my biggest sleeper in the whole draft. Offense,
Oklahoma.
defense, anything. Oklahoma, Kendall Daniels, my biggest sleeper. This guy is awesome. He was going to be a Brian Flores gem. He can play linebacker. He can play safety. He can play just about every defensive position, Rhino. And he doesn't just fill in, he plays them all really well. He's the most versatile guy I've seen in the draft. This might be a perfect fit. Kendall Daniels, Oklahoma. I'm just saying, keep your mind open for that. Write that in your notes because
Okay.
he is. Brian Flores probably sees him going. I could do something with this guy. And that's my safeties. You got
All
anybody
right.
else on your list?
No, that was the main guys for mine. We didn't talk about McNeil Warren too much. I know a lot of guys have him picked a lot higher than you had on your board, but
Yeah. Yeah, a lot higher. And he played at Toledo. I'm not saying the competition's bad there. He is a I did have him on the Brian Flores list though. That guy. You gotta love the size of that Warren guy. 6'4". Are you kidding me? 6'4", 201, 39 games, 1,800 snaps. My problem with Warren and the reason he ended up as number 8 is I graded him as a D tackler. I didn't like
yeah,
his tackling at all.
that's the biggest thing I've seen him too. He's not a good tackler.
He has that tackling where I don't want to I call it turtling, where you turtle. It's like a turtle roll, trying to knock the legs out from under him rather than just going for the mid waist. He did a lot of turtle rolling. I don't like that in a safety.
No, I don't.
I
I
think
don't
safety,
either.
you know,
And that's why I have Halsey over him and in my picks because everybody else is a lot of them are showing McNeil Warren as a safety 3 on the board. I think he's 4 behind Halsey because of that. But
yeah, that's mainly why I dropped to 8 was the tackling. I mean, I don't worry about, just like I don't worry about speed with a safety compared to a corner. I don't worry about the corner tackling as much as a safety. If your safety
no
in
safety,
Flores' system,
you got to be able to tackle as a safety.
right. I mean, he's a really good cover guy. I think I am as a
Yeah.
B plus or an A minus cover guy. And I'm not saying he couldn't be a number 3 or number 4, but like I said, if you're looking at my boards, they're Viking tilted. They're not tilted toward
Mm-hmm.
just regular safeties.
Right.
I don't think he fits the Vikings. I don't.
Fair point. And
That
like
said,
yeah,
I dropped him.
like I said, the tackling part just it bothers me about McNeil Warren, and that's why I question him. I wouldn't take and they've been showing him going first round. I wouldn't take him first round.
No, no. And it's kind of like when you look at the corner board, people say, well, there's a corner who can't tackle. Well, maybe that's fine on the Chiefs, or maybe that's fine on the Cardinals or the Niners.
Yeah.
But a Brian Flores, you got to be able to tackle someone. But it's not the end all. I want my corners to cover people.
Right.
Um,
If you can knock the ball away or pick it off, you don't have to tackle the guy.
yeah, right, right. But in what people got to understand in Flores defense, linebackers, corners, and safeties, Rhino, you kind of got to know everybody's role and what everybody's doing
Mm-hmm.
because if you're set up on a play to play too deep, all of a sudden somebody rolls coverage, you're responsible for the tight end running down the seam. You got to
Right.
be ready for all different things to 3 or 4 different things to happen on one play. That's
Well,
what you got
yeah,
to be ready for. It's
and
difficult.
that's what's made Harrison Smith so damn good for the last decade plus because he's been able to do that. And if
How many times how many times the Vikings defense ran off that field and Brian Flores pulled Harrison Smith aside and said, if you weren't in there, that never would have happened.
yeah,
So if he's not there, who's he going to pull to the sideline and say, if you weren't in there, that never would have happened?
right,
You got to have some experience back there. And I
yeah,
know Thienemann's experience, but he's not Harrison Smith.
not
He
yet,
may be
no.
talent wise, but mind wise, he's not Harrison Smith.
Right. All
Um,
right, so we're pushing an hour and a half here, but so we got one more thing. We'll roll in and we'll do our mock
oh,
draft roundup for the
sorry.
week.
I probably talked too much, Rhino. I'm sorry. I've
No, no,
talked
no,
too
no.
much.
This has been great. I always plan on a little bit more when you get on here because you bring so damn much knowledge to this show that
Thanks,
it
dude.
pales in comparison to what we normally have. So,
All the way from Mexico. Veracruz.
woohoo! Hey, yeah, big shout out to Senor Brunswick down there in Mexico.
Oh, I don't know what he's doing, but I know what I'd be doing.
Yeah, probably the same thing he's doing.
What do you got going now? You got this draft thing you got lined up?
Yeah, the mock draft roundup. Which let me see if my video will play this time.
Sounds really fancy. The mock draft lineup,
Yeah, well,
roundup.
and the damn video never. I can't get the damn video to play anymore, so I got to fix that. But
You got a
Anyway, so
video for it? God,
yeah,
you went out of your way.
I have an intro for it, yes. But basically, what we do with the mock draft roundup is we take
Let's
a
do it.
look at all the big wigs, the your high profile guys, your Fox Sportses, your ESPNs. We don't look at Bob's big board draft or anything like that. We look at the guys who are supposedly the names that, as far as NFL reporting go, and who they mock on a weekly basis here. So we did it last week. Dylan Thieneman was the most mocked to the Vikings last week,
Was it?
and this week he repeats that. We have 10 guys out of the ones I followed that mocked Dylan Thieneman to us. Field Yates from ESPN, Todd McShay, uh, Alyssa Barbieri from Touchdown Wire, Jordan Ploutcher from PFF, TJ Randall from Pro
Oh,
Football Network, Bucky Brooks from the NFL Network,
that
Ben
guy's a
Arthur.
fool.
Bucky Brooks,
Bucky
yeah,
Brooks.
I question him sometimes.
But I do like
We also
McShay. He's pretty.
have Ben Arthur from Fox Sports, Garrett Padell from CBS Sports, Jack McKessie from
Wow.
USA Today, and Luke Easterling from Athlon Sports, all picking Dylan Thieneman to us.
Wow. I shout out to Athlon Sports. They helped me on a lot of draft footage I couldn't find. They supplied it for me. So shout out to them. I'm glad you mentioned them. That is a
Yeah.
great website with great
They,
people.
they have a
Very,
good thing,
very.
and Luke Easterling does a lot of good stuff on there. So that's why I try to get him on here whenever he has his mocks. But
So what you're saying is Diana Rossini's not on here tonight.
she is not on here tonight. No, I don't know if Diana does mock drafts. She mocks a lot of stuff, but I don't know if it's drafts or not. But
Who cares? As long as she's wearing a tank top, who cares?
no, there's that.
What do you got
Second
going? Who's
second guy on the list, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, who we talked about a little bit earlier as well.
right?
Pete Prisco from CBS and Jacob Infante from Pro Football Network mock him to us in the first round. Again, I would not take McNeil Warren first round, but that's just me. Next guy on the
Yeah.
list, Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson.
There's an interesting name. That guy is a great football player. I don't know. I think I got him third on my big. No way. I think I have him third or fourth on my big board. I got
Okay.
McDonald first, but Peter Woods is an interesting cat because he's one of those guys that might not fit in a normal high draft, but in a Flores type draft, Flores might look at him differently. Peter
Oh,
Woods is a name
I
to
think
consider.
Flores would love this cat. I mean, at
Yeah.
Clemson, his last year he had a down year, but everybody on that defense had a down year because of their defensive coordinator and what they were doing over there. So
But look at his previous season's production for Peter
right,
Woods.
and that's
Off the
what
charts,
you have to
man.
look at. Yeah,
Right. That's an interesting name. I'm glad you
yeah.
said that one.
So Mike Finelli from Fantasy Pros and Lou Scatigula from NFL Spin Zone have us picking him now. Lou has us trading back to pick 23 and taking Woods there. So that's an interesting.
What do we what
Next,
do we get if we trade it back to 23? Give me you don't have to look it up. Just tell me what do we roughly get if we trade back 5 spots?
I forget who has pick 23, but
Naturally we get 23, but what do we get
you get
extra?
23, and I mean, you'd
A
have to
third
get
rounder?
at least a third rounder.
Yeah, I would think.
Maybe even a third and a late round,
Yeah.
a third and a
You know
fifth or
what,
something.
Rhino?
Maybe, but
I don't like having the problem with the Vikings the last 3 years, they got these big ass gaps in the draft. You notice they'll have a pick. Oh, we pick at 61, and then we pick again at 840. It's like, what? I
yeah,
don't
well,
like these big
what is it
gaps.
this year? We pick at 97, then it's not till again 163 or something like that. I mean,
163, but we have two number threes, which makes up a little difference from not having
yeah,
that four.
because
But
we get that the compensatory third for Darnold, which is basically the first, early
yeah, we have
fourth round
80,
pick. But
we have 82, 97, then 163. I would love to get a pick with having two third rounders and then that fourth rounder still. Now
Yeah.
we're cooking with gas because we don't have that gap. I hate those freaking gaps, man. Because you as you're watching the draft, you have that gap, Rhino, and you know as well as I do watching
Mm-hmm.
those drafts. Me and you talked about 2021. We were watching players fall off the board, and we were going nuts. Remember, we're on the
Yep.
website going, "Oh my god, look at these players we're missing out on because we have no pick because we traded something for Sam Bradford." I mean,
Well, and that's the thing. We traded a fourth round pick for Adam Thielen and his 5 fucking catches last
oh,
year. That
so
and
stupid.
in this
Oh,
draft,
that was
like I mentioned earlier in the night, that second, third, and fourth round is where all the meat and potatoes are of this draft. So,
You're right. You're absolutely right. You need picks right there.
yep.
I was just wondering. I don't know what you get value wise. I know there's a value board or something.
Yeah,
Ted
I
Glover
don't.
used to know about. Ted Glover had that down. Ted
Yeah,
Glover
you've
knew
got
like
that
memorized.
the Rich Hill chart, and there's a couple other ones that are that kind of stuff that I don't. I haven't looked at it close enough to know what the value is, but I would think
I
you'd al-
if
I
I
mean,
tra-
I think
if I
you'd
traded
almost be able to get a fourth rounder out of that to move up there,
if
fifth at the very least. But
still if I'm trading back to 23, I doubt I'm taking Peter Woods there. I'm going to take somebody else and keep the draft pick and try to get him later or something. I don't know. Who else you got?
yep. All right, so next guy on the list.
Woods is interesting.
Yep, next guy on the list is one we talked about earlier tonight too. Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. We
Love
had
that
one.
player.
We had one pick there. Mike Middlehurst Schultz out of USA Today had him going to us in his mock this week.
Yeah, possibly.
Yep. Next guy on the list here, and I think first round is high for him, but Chris Johnson, the cornerback out of San Diego State.
I you know
Uh,
what's weird is that guy's gone anywhere from the first round to the fifth round. He's like all
yeah,
over the board. I don't know what to think about him.
I think he settles into that late second, early third myself, but that's just my analysis of the whole situation. But
You got him in the
next,
third, somewhere around there.
I would say late second to early third, probably.
That's where I have him too. I think.
Okay. Next guy, and this one doesn't
Yeah.
make a whole lot of sense unless even if we trade Jonathan Grenard, this one doesn't
Wait.
make a ton of sense. But
Yeah.
Akeem
Chris Johnson,
Mesidor,
third
okay,
round.
next
Hakeem
guy is
Mesidor, I like that guy.
Mesidor, the edge out of Miami. Vic Defer from the Athletic has us taking him in the first round.
But if we keep Grenard, are we really taking a first round edge?
I wouldn't. No, I can't see us doing that. Even if we don't keep Grenard, I mean, you've got Dallas Turner, who we traded up to get
What?
2 years ago.
It's a great point.
You know,
And
I
Dallas Turner is going to be my Viking MVP. I'm going to say it right now on your show, and you can track it. You could write it down. MVP of the Vikings defense will be Dallas Turner this year.
I think he stands a very good, especially if we trade trade Jonathan Grenard. I think Turner is ready to take that next step. Now,
I think
as we saw
trading
last
Grenard
year,
is stupid.
well, Grenard wants top 3, 4 money, and that, the trade rumors were hot and heavy for a couple weeks there. Now they've died down, but from what I've been hearing, it's not what the Vikings are asking for him that's the stalling point. It's what Grenard wants for a contract extension that's stalling things out.
Right, right. Yeah. You know, a lot of things I think about with the first round guy, Rhino, and we've been talking about the draft for years.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody call me about this tight end from Oregon, the Sadiq guy.
Kenyon
Ah,
Sadiq,
Drew,
yeah.
we gotta take him at 18. You know what my thought is on players you take in the first round? They gotta start.
Yeah.
So I responded to him, is he gonna start? Well, no, because Hawkins said he's not gonna start. Well, I don't want him.
Then you don't take him.
No, I don't take him. And that's kind of, if we if we take the edge guy,
He's not going to start.
he's not going to start. And that
Uh,
might be fine for teams that are set up better than us, like the Seahawks. But the Vikings are set up where, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the first three guys they draft have to start. You can't draft a guy that's going to sit on the bench with your 18th
no.
pick. You can't.
And as we've shown, the two edge rushers for the Vikings are completely different. Dallas Turner didn't play that well when he was filling in for Van Ginkel, but when he plays over on Grenard's position and when he filled up in there, the guy freaking exploded.
How long it's taken Turner to develop the last 3 years is my proof to point of what Brian Flores' defense is.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. It's taken him this long to figure it out.
Plus,
But
he's a young cat. He's still
Turner,
22. He's still 22.
right. And at Oklahoma, he had no rules. I mean, sorry, Alabama, he had no rules. Just do
No.
whatever you want. But he's taken the time to be patient and not bitched and moaned. Turner's going to turn the corner this year, and you're going to see some amazing football from that guy. But my point is,
as a backup for most of the year, he led the team in sacks last year.
you're not going to come into a Flores defense and know it. You're going to have to sit and learn it.
Right.
So that goes to the point of it's not an easy defense to learn, but once you master it, you master it.
Yep.
How do you feel about edge guy at 18?
No, I'm out. I'm out on edge at 18. Because I don't think there's that transcendent, your Myles Garrett or your Jared Allen or your whatever type guy that would be there at 18 that would make it worth taking that guy there.
Right.
And the Vikings are not in a position to take luxury picks. You got to take guys that are going to contribute right away, like safety, cornerback, interior defensive lineman, not a backup edge rusher or a third-round punt gunner or that kind of stuff.
That is absolutely correct. That's why Thieneman looks so. I mean,
and
it's positionally, talent-wise, that seems like a really normal pick. Right?
Yeah, it to me, if Thieneman's there at 18, it's a no-brainer. You take him.
It's almost like it's safety or corner. We need help at both spots.
Or potentially defensive line, but I think you could trade back out of 18 and still probably pick up a Cade McDonald at like 23, 24 or somewhere in that range.
My plan would be to trade 18 and go back to, at the latest, 28, 10 spots. I mean, preferably like 7 spots. Mm-hmm. I think you could pick up some great like capital, but you can also get a really, really good player, a starter that you need. And I think I would be in favor of that. But, it's weird because we need so many positions. We need help.
And that's the thing. If we hit 18 and Thieneman's gone and there's not a corner there that you really like, then I'm all for trading back a few spots. But if there is a guy at 18 that you absolutely like, I don't want to do a fucking Kyle Hamilton thing. I don't want to trade back and miss out on a guy that's going to be a perennial All-Pro.
That's true.
If that guy, if you think you believe in that guy that's there at 18, you take him and then you worry about the rest of it later on. You can move around the board a little bit later down. Trading back from 1 gets you the most capital, obviously, but you can't do that at the expense of getting a top-notch player that's going to be a cornerstone of your team for the next 5 to 10 years.
And I agree with that. And you look at what I mentioned earlier about the safety position with Brian Flores and having Harrison Smith is his buffer, his coach on the field, his guy that, thank God you were there or we never would have made that play. I think if Flores says to whoever's running the draft now, I don't even know, maybe Anthony Tollison's running the draft. But if Brian Flores says, you get Thieneman in here with Harrison Smith, not only Harrison Smith's no bum, we got the best safeties in the league right there. We can build around that. You build the back to the front, line of scrimmage to safety, and then safety to line of scrimmage. If you're good on the front and good on the back, you're good to go.
You're good.
And I think, I think he probably called Hitman. He called Hitman and said, "I want to take this Thieneman guy, but I don't want to take him unless you're going to be there to help him."
Yeah. I mean, of course, not to pour salt in the wound, but if we go back to Kwesi's first draft, and if he'd have taken fucking Kyle Hamilton instead of trading back, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. But
we got Lewis Seen though. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who just got?
Who got? I used to wear those cornrows and call myself Drew Seen.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was.
Lewis Seen, is that bigger bust for that guy?
Didn't he get cut from like a preseason UFL team or some goddamn thing here not too long ago?
What a terrible draft pick, dude!
And the kid was really good in college, though. That was the problem, and he just when he got to the pros.
I think the problem I think the problem was in Georgia they had like 9 first-round picks in that. Remember that Georgia defense?
Yeah, that
Remember
that
that
was a hell of a
defense they had?
defense that year. I think the
So
other 8 picks on that defense kind of shielded what he was.
I think so. It made him a lot better than what he looked because that guy couldn't walk straight in Minnesota. What a
No,
terrible
I said
player.
he could not figure out. I mean, if you can't figure out Ed Donatel's too high shell coverage
No.
thing, I
And
mean,
then I, I think Lewis Seen made this post about screw you, Minnesota. I'm going to the Jets so I can show them what I really got. All right, you go do that.
yeah,
The
good
Jets.
luck with that, bud.
Yeah,
So
it's
anyway,
fun.
we've been going on for quite a while here tonight. We've had a great time. Drew
Yeah,
brought the fire tonight with his secondary picks. Again, big thank you for stepping in and co-hosting tonight, Drew. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you
Um,
having me on. This is one of my favorite shows. It always will be. And whenever you want me on here, I'll be here.
like I said, you have an open invitation anytime you want to come on. Just let us know, and we got a spot for you. So,
Thanks,
but
Rhino.
with that, thank you guys for joining us. The OGs in the chat. We had a few new names in there again, and
Did we?
yeah, a couple rolled through here. Thank you guys for joining us as always. We really appreciate it. For myself, for Drewster, for Brunswick, thank you guys from the bottom of our heart. We couldn't do this show without you. But with
Yeah,
that,
appreciate it, Steven.
since Lance is not here, why don't you take us out of here, Drewster?
Come on, Vikings. You got to get it right one of these years. No, thank you to everybody who tuned in. I know it was kind of a long show, but when you're going over draft picks, it's going to be, if you want a complete coverage, you want to cover the Vikings guys, the Flores guys, talking defense or whatever. I appreciate you sticking around and listening to me. I'm just an old man who loves football. I'm not a professional. I'm not a scout. I'm not a coach. I just try to bring it like it is. But I appreciate you sticking around and listening to me. Rhino, thank you so much for having us on. The Vikings, here we go again. We're going to tee it up and try to get it done this year. And whenever you want me back on, just throw me an email.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll catch you next week.